Paging Mr. Warner. Mr. Warner. Welcome back to the Remedial Film Class Podcast. I'm your host, Dan.
And I'm Travis.
And I'm Mr. Warner.
Hey.
Paging Mr. Herman. Mr. Herman. It's so funny.
We
so
watched
bad.
1985's Pee-wee's Big Adventure. What was in the water in 1985, boys and girls? I
Holy
need
shit.
to find out. Holy moly.
Yet ahead of its time.
Do you guys-
Dated, yet ahead of its time.
Do you guys know the kids show Blippi?
Yes.
Okay. Pee-wee Herman is like Blippi, but with no educational value at all.
No, because he's a
Yeah.
parody.
Yeah,
He's a parody of those shows.
it's great.
This movie was co-written by, I didn't even know this, Phil Hartman.
Yeah.
So, who was on the Pee-wee's Playhouse original show. Like, I don't know how far back you go with this character, but originally he did a stage show before he did Pee-wee's Playhouse.
I have zero
Okay.
backstory of Pee-wee Herman.
So when I was a kid, before this movie, so I was maybe 8 or 9 when this came out, he did it. It was like an HBO special where he did a stage show of his Playhouse. And Phil Hartman was Captain Carl. It was so ahead of its time, yet so stuck in the 80s that when you watch it today, it seems dated. But because of Scooby-Doo movies and the Brady Bunch where they parodied themselves, the satire, this movie was ahead of its time because it was making fun of his show, but it was using the content of his show in the real life where he didn't belong. Like,
Yeah.
to me, I loved it. And I do definitely think it was dated, though. Like, when I watched it recently.
Well,
was
I
like,
mean, it was done in 85,
Yeah.
so they say it's stuck in the 80s. Well, it is in the 80s.
Yes.
It lives there. I was only kind of like partially aware that there was a Pee-wee Herman show. Like
Okay.
Pee-wee's Playhouse. Like it's coming back to me now,
it was huge.
but I just totally like I guess I knew it. I just forgot.
Right.
So anyway,
And it looks like it's on HBO Max if you wanted to stream it for a little future.
like the show?
Yeah, when I was searching for this movie, the show came up too, so you might be able to check that out. I almost watched on DVD, but then, when I was looking to see where you guys would watch it, lo and behold, there it was. So, George, initial impressions of one of the weirdest things we've ever made you watch.
You know, I was watching the movie and a very familiar question came to mind. Who is this movie for?
Everyone.
Because, my daughter was like sitting next to me, like watching it for a little while in the beginning. And my wife has seen it, and apparently she was, at the time, I don't know what's going on.
She
but
had a
she's
crush
like,
on Pee-wee.
She's like, there's some stuff in this movie
Mhm.
that, is a little. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I mean, it's the beginning. Like, he's making breakfast, and, he's using
Yeah.
like a Rube Goldberg machine to make breakfast. I'm like, this is totally innocuous. You can watch this. And there's no lines either. It's just Pee-wee doing his thing going, ha ha, like the entire
Mhm.
first 10, 15 minutes.
It doesn't get to content for a while.
No, it doesn't. So, but even so, like every time there was an interaction with a person, I felt like I was like, oh, this could go south quick,
Mhm.
and I just had to pause it and be like, get out of here.
You know it's going to go bad the meeting about his bike missing.
Yeah,
That's when you're like, okay, what am I watching and where's this going?
but those were the first lines in the movie, and it's just the back and forth, like the annoying back and forth that like Pee-wee Herman is known for, and
the childish stuff.
yeah, and the first exchange, the first dialogue, the first lines, it's just like they lather it on thick.
And it's got Mr. T cereal. I mean, you
It's-
can't
yeah,
freaking
and they're all
beat that.
they're all teas. He pours it out. They're
I'm
all like
pure
this.
food. Don't eat my cereal. It's so over the top like that. I know you are, but what am I? Like that whole back and forth with Francis in the street. Like it makes you want to punch someone. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
But I have children,
Just
so
like
I
you
get
want to
it.
grab both of their faces and just like squeeze
Right.
as hard as you can.
But we all have seen Mad TV, so we've seen Stewart,
Yeah.
and that's Stewart basically is Pee-wee Herman.
It's the same thing.
He completely stole it. But I mean, he did better things with it.
Hey, don't
Too.
talk about Little John like that. I'm a big fan.
I love Stewart, but I was waiting for someone to call him Stewart in this movie because it was like so blatant.
Yeah, Stewart's a good character, man.
Mhm.
Like it's like Pee Wee Herman, but like more annoying and less happy.
Yes.
Like he's like Pee Wee Herman, but with anxiety, I guess.
I think the difference is Stewart is a child. He's a overgrown child,
Yeah.
and Pee Wee is a man child. Like he's a grown man acting like a child.
Yeah.
Not because he's still 6.
Yeah.
But he just kind of refuses to grow up, which we know a lot of people like that.
And Stewart is actually supposed to be
he's just
6.
an oversized child.
Yeah.
That we know of. I mean, it could go the other way, I guess. But I think that's what makes Pee Wee funny
either way
in this movie.
Either way.
Because all the like the real situations and him in it, it's like you're just like, what? Like, but it's in reality. It's based enough in reality where it's like, okay. Because my son was watching. He's like, what is this? What am I watching?
He said,
kind of thing.
Who is this for?
I said, well, this was classic back then, and I think it still holds up. I mean, I said we'll find out what George says, but I think
You're talking about your son Gabe, right?
Yeah.
Tell him I said he is Pee Wee Herman.
I'll try not to do many of those.
I was gonna
And
say
hopefully,
he
if
inherited
he's
from
smart-
his father is what happened.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and if he's smart, he'll say, "I know you are, but
What am I? Infinity.
Infinity." Nah.
But this movie was so quotable back then. Like we were constantly doing the loner Dottie rebel comments and
Oh my god, that was so funny.
and she was big back then too. She kind of fell off. but
Dottie.
yeah. The last time I saw her, she was on Friends. She played one of Phoebe's friends.
I think she does a lot of voice work.
Yes, she's a voiceover actress. But she was big in the 80s. Like she was in Better Off Dead and Pee Wee and a couple TV shows.
Gotcha. Yeah, that interaction that you talked about with the I'm a loner, I'm a rebel
Mm-hmm.
was so funny because like he's obviously just like grossed out by
Girls.
love. Yeah, he's just grossed out by girls because he's
They kind of touch on the fact that maybe he was grossed out at the feeling that he was having because he eventually ends
Sure.
up with her.
Yeah, of course.
When
but
you're a
then
man
like
child,
at the
you don't
end he
want
still
that.
doesn't kiss her. It's so
No.
funny. He's still
Yeah.
just grossed out
He
by
does
love.
some really good subtle stuff in this movie. Good shit.
Oh man.
Well, and they made a sequel to this that I won't make you watch, Big Top Pee Wee, where he has like a whole romantic arc and he's like making out with this chick. And as a kid, I was just like, no,
It was weird.
That sounds like a terrible
you do not need Pee
way.
Wee in that
a
outfit.
terrible direction.
Talking
It
like that and
wasn't-
making out with some chick. Ugh.
It was a good Pee Wee movie because he was with a circus, so you had a lot of really really good interaction characters, but it was definitely not.
I was gonna say that
comfortable.
sounds like a great setting, and ripe for lots of
No one wants to see
shenanigans.
Pee Wee in love. It's kind of like
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's the thing. It's if you don't have the plot, and in this movie, the plot was fantastic.
Mhm.
He's just looking for his bike.
Yeah.
He wants to get his bike back
and
because that's what every 9-year-old would be doing.
there's no one on this planet that is 47, 45, 40 that does not mention the basement in the Alamo.
Yes,
That's-
indeed.
Like that is like a quotable quote of all quotes.
Yeah. Well,
And you know what? That took about an hour of the movie to
Mhm.
to like just to get there.
It's a long joke
It's a very long
because he
joke.
sees the psychic, and she's like, "What does the building say?"
tax.
it's Al
income
and
tax?
Mose.
Oh no! Oh, yeah, I was thinking about the window. Like, I love how when he like walks up to the building, it's like tarot card readings, palm readings, income tax.
That's good.
So good.
Yeah.
And
But she's so full of shit, and she's like, "In the basement."
in the basement of the Alamo,
There's no basement in the Alamo.
and it's like everyone's looking at him and
Yeah.
laughing. And, oh, it's so painful. Felt so bad for him.
When he proves that he's
honestly.
actually in Texas, my kids were so confused. 'Cause I made all
Oh,
them
wow.
watch it with me today. Just because, why not? They need to see this movie.
Yeah.
And they all watched it. They all enjoyed it. Didn't scare them at all, which was too bad. because I thought those clowns were fucking terrifying. But
Yes.
uh,
I think the only part that was probably not. Maybe there's a couple other
The
parts.
clowns and Large Marge
But the
are the two big.
Yeah, Large Marge was the only thing I.
But
can
it was
really
so animated that you can get away with showing that to a kid.
Maybe.
we'll find out. Eva, come over here.
Yeah.
Well, my wife said that's the only part of the movie that she remembers.
I forgot how claymation it was though. When I watched it, I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this is not scary. That's
My-
like
my-
Beetlejuice type stuff."
That claymation fucked my wife's childhood up because
The clowns for me, I was not a fan of the clowns
Yeah, I mean,
at all, or Francis.
the clowns and the what were the bikers? What was the biker gang? It was like the helpers of Satan.
Hell's
or
Angels.
No, they
Oh, they
were
were like a fake name.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it was like it's like Satan's helpers or some shit. I don't know,
I don't know that one.
but that was pretty
that
funny.
one Satan's helper might have been the opposite of horrifying, depending on the age you saw it. The one who refuses
Yeah.
to kill him until she has a chance to take him first.
I say we let him go. Okay.
Oh my
we hang 'em. That scene is redone in Tangled.
Yes.
Like when when Tangled came out, I was like, "Oh my god!" They referenced Pee Wee Herman in the bar. I was just waiting for the dance with the big white shoes.
Dun, 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 dun.
But every time that song came
Well,
on back then,
they do that, but it's different though.
Yeah.
They do it a different way. That's one of my favorite Disney movies.
Yes,
by
me
the
too.
way.
we
very,
should probably
very,
do that
very,
just so
very
we can gush
good.
over it.
Um,
And Dan will be like, "I've never seen it."
It's true.
have you ever seen Tangled, Dan? You haven't seen
No.
it? Oh, dude, it's so good.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's worth a watch. It's brilliant.
100%. I think it might be my favorite Disney movie.
It's up there. It's definitely up there. But there's a lot of that
Like
in,
top
in
3.
This movie.
Coco was really good too.
Coco
maybe
was good.
season 5 we'll do some Disney movies.
You saw Coco?
I saw Coco. Too sad,
Dude,
but it was good.
Dude, made me cry. It was right up my alley.
See, and that's
Yeah.
the thing. It made me want to cry, and so I didn't want to watch it anymore.
Oh, it was so good.
Ugh.
It
Feelings.
did its
So,
Ugh.
so
job.
good.
No feelings.
Unless it's
Ugh,
Clerks 3.
feelings.
For some reason, I let Clerks 3
Right.
have a pass for feelings, but
I got a little choked up on the Loner Dottie Rebel exchange. So there were feelings.
there you go. There
There's
you go.
things about me you shouldn't understand.
I don't understand. I love how I really, really thought that at the end when they were at the drive-in and Warner Brothers made a movie about his journey, I
Mhm.
really thought it was just going to start on the screen like the exact same thing I just
Right.
watched.
Oh,
Nah.
yeah.
But
they did it 80s style. They got all your cameos.
yeah, but I am really glad that they did it that way. That, like Pee-wee is like this hunky like action star.
And then he makes his debut as the bellhop
So good.
concierge. He's standing in. He plays uncomfortable so good.
Yes, he
Like
does.
he's just kind of looking around like, I'm not supposed to be here.
And don't they like kiss right in front of him and he's like
Everything he did not happen.
It's so awkward.
It's like a Bond
He's
film.
like watching him.
Oh
Like,
yeah, he's like straight up. He's playing it as James Bond, and that's James Brolin.
Yes.
The father of the guy from No Country for Old Men.
Father of Thanos. Yeah, James Brolin.
So
And wasn't he in Westworld?
he was the friend in Westworld,
Boom. Friend
Yeah.
of the show.
the one who was
Boom.
like already comfortable with Westworld and bringing his kind of too excited buddy with him before
Right.
everything goes sideways. I watched that movie again this week. I love that movie.
So Thanos' dad played Pee Wee Herman in the Hollywood version of Big Adventure. Nice.
PW.
I
CW.
heard something about the TV show, or not TV show, but the HBO show Westworld was like they were like nixing it for some reason.
Yep, canceled it one season early, and then they're taking it off of Max. Yeah.
And
Why?
is there a good reason for that?
Something about the way the residuals contract is set up. They don't want to spend the money on how high it was negotiated before when it was a bigger hit. So it'll probably end up somewhere else. I have the first 2 seasons on 4K, and those were the only good seasons. So I'm not sad it's off streaming.
So
but,
now when I see it available on DVD, I should buy it. That's what you're saying.
it'll probably still be on DVD, but you should definitely watch the first 2 seasons because they're really good.
Cool.
Well, first season's really good. How about that?
Hmm.
One of those ones I
Yeah.
pretend that it's the only season, you know? and
You'll
then
have to snail mail it to me,
it's
because if it's not on HBO Max
Word.
anymore.
So
Anyway.
also the bar scene reminded me of
Which one?
where he meets the bikers.
Oh, okay.
It had that American Werewolf feel as well when they show up
Absolutely.
in the bar.
Fish out of water,
Well,
man.
When they're talking about no, not the biker, the one when Large Marge drops him off. So the truck stop.
Oh.
Yes.
That
Yeah,
was-
that's why I
that
asked
was-
which one. I'm
yeah,
like,
the
yeah.
truck stop where everybody's acting weird
mm-hmm.
and they have the memorial of her on the wall. Like
Yep.
it was totally. They might as well just had a pentagram painted on the wall.
What was the slaughtered lamb?
Slaughtered
Yeah,
lamb,
they should have just called it the slaughtered lamb.
It should have been some kind of variation of that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Instead of like truck related.
Yeah.
And that's where
Wasn't
he
it like
meets-
dinosaur related?
Yeah.
It was like dinosaur.
Well, I think that
themed?
place is really there. I think you can go see that.
Oh yeah.
It's on Route 66.
Can you watch the sunrise in the mouth of the T-Rex?
I think you can.
'Cause that
Only
was
if
really-
you put it to her exactly like she hoped you would. That's a really good subtle one that I didn't ever catch until this watch, because
Yeah.
I haven't seen this movie since I was 15 years old or 10 years old or something. So to come back and be like, oh, so that's why the boyfriend was so jealous. It's so good.
Yeah.
And he's huge too, by the way.
Yeah. That guy's, I don't even know. I don't know if he was a football player or what, but humongous.
I like how when he's at the front of the line at the bus station, and they're like, "Oh, sorry, I left 5 minutes ago," and then he stands straight up because he was hunching over. You're like, "Oh crap!"
That scene, again, I'm such a geek. In X-Men, the
Mhm.
X-Men movie, there's a scene in the 30th Street, or not 30th Street, what's the train station in New York?
Grand Central.
Grand Central. There's like 3 or 4 X-Men, and they're looking for Rogue, who left. And Sabretooth, who's played by Taylor Maine, who plays Michael Myers in the
Mhm.
remake.
Yep.
He's at the window, and then he stands up in line, and I'm like, oh my God, it's from Pee-wee.
It's just like that, yeah.
So good.
Now, obviously, this was directed
That's
by
so
Tim
funny.
Burton. Most of the movie, you can tell there's like a creative fight between the voice of, Paul Rubens as a creator
Mm-hmm.
and the voice of Tim Burton as a creator. But for the most part, it's like little hints of Burton. I love the sprinkler that he uses to water his lawn that has
Yes.
the signature striping of the Tim
Mhm.
Burton characters as it flails about shooting water all
And I
over
love
the
the
neighborhood.
nostalgia of that because that thing really existed, and I remember playing with one of those.
That is bizarre. But
Yep.
yeah, did it have the stripes or did they add the stripes for Burton?
I think it was like plastic tubing
Yeah, that's what I expect.
on
yeah.
a hose, so it wasn't really striped. It was just segments.
So that was bizarre and fun. But I love when they cut to the point, I think it's in the Clown Dream, where they walk through a series of doorways that don't have
Yes.
walls attached. And you're just like, oh, we're here. It's Tim Burton.
Yeah, he's feeling things out.
Yeah.
There's a lot of Beetlejuice in this movie.
Yeah.
I just
Just
realized
enough.
that Cassandra
Just a hint.
Peterson plays the biker mama,
Yes,
which, yeah,
I saw that. I was like, oh my God,
yeah,
that's Elvira.
yeah.
That's right out of my childhood too. Do you know who Elvira is? You should.
That sounds super familiar, but
She was like a, I don't even know how to reference.
She's
it.
like a celebrity personality. She shows up on everything. In character.
But she created a character of Elvira where her like a vampirella
okay.
character. She's got like the big bouffant hair
Okay.
and a lot of makeup and amazing cleavage.
Okay.
And she looks now like she did in 1982. Like she has not changed when she's in that character.
Gotcha.
And she was not in character in this movie, but if you know who she is, she pops up as the biker girl.
Gotcha.
And you're like, "Oh my God, that's
That's
her out of makeup."
That's Elvira.
Yeah.
But
But she's like so famous. Like she's an icon.
She
Okay.
even
In-
showed
as
up
that
on the
character.
Super Mario Brothers Super Show once in full costume and cleavage on a kids show.
Yeah.
The 80s,
Nice.
man. The 80s.
Yeah. Definitely MTV generation
Okay.
stardom. But she goes further back than MTV, I think. Doesn't she go like the late 70s?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, when Vampirella was really big and Vampira was big, then she created that character, which she just grabbed the coattails and wrote it.
Yeah, and that was kind of the...
It was like a Playboy model dressed up as Vampira.
Yeah.
Good stuff. But she's funny, too. Like, she has great timing.
Yeah,
I think she did a couple movies, but
why couldn't she?
Why
couldn't she be the total package?
Exactly.
She perfected it.
Did you recognize the hobo singing on the train?
No. Should I have?
Yeah.
Shoe fly shoe. Skip to the loo, my darling.
He was the drunk reverend in Halloween 4.
Yeah.
Just recently, and we said he only plays hobos and everything he's in. Well, this is one of those things.
Yeah. I remember I remember the conversation. Yeah.
This one, he upped his game. He's he's on the train. He's not just laying on the corner somewhere.
I thought Pee Wee was gonna wake up from a dream after he got off after he jumped off the train without his bag, and saw the Texas sign, home of the Alamo and stuff. I really, really thought that he was just gonna wake up again in the hay bale, that. None of that actually happened, but I was wrong.
This kind of has a lot of Dumb and Dumber in it as well. That whole road trip feel. There's so many movies probably pulled from this.
Another
nostalgia.
movie that I should probably see.
You have not seen Dumb and Dumber.
No.
We're still doing this?
Yeah.
Really good soundtrack.
It's just there's so many movies.
Holy crap.
How can someone watch all of them?
We're trying.
Yeah. I know who's in it though.
We might need to up this to 3 or 4 movies a week, man. We're really falling behind here.
That's really what.
Well, we need a Patreon, and then we can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I know it's Dumb and Dumber is Jim Carrey, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy who plays in the show Newsroom,
mm-hmm.
I forget his name.
Jeff Daniels.
He's awesome.
He is awesome.
As a serious actor. So I would really like to see him in that movie.
He's really good in everything.
Yeah, I love him as an actor. I've seen him in maybe 2 things, but every time I see him, he's great.
The fact that he can play that character in Dumb and Dumber and also play the president of the United States somewhere.
Oh yeah, he played the president, didn't he?
Yeah, he's
in something.
It's ridiculous. Great range.
Yeah.
Hey, so last week we did Batman Returns, which was the most Tim Burton of the Batman movies. Obviously, has a lot in common with some of the edgier stuff in this movie. We pointed out at the beginning that Pee Wee Paul Reubens was the father of the Penguin. Do you remember that?
Wait, hold on.
It's been a long week.
He said
it's only been 4 days.
Say that again?
In the opening of Batman Returns,
what?
you see the Cobblepots. And they're played by Paul Reubens, who is Pee Wee Herman, as well as Diane Salinger, who is Simone from this movie.
Okay, yes.
So you have that couple as the parents who, from their loins, jumps the penguin creature, which honestly, probably.
That was some
kind
sunset.
of makes perfect sense. Although, yeah, okay. The problem is with the penguin, I can't separate Danny DeVito from the character. And I know that Danny DeVito didn't come out of them.
Yeah,
so,
they're much too tall.
You don't know that. You don't.
Well,
I mean, technically.
Now,
it's not on Wikipedia.
There's a third member of Batman Returns who's in this movie as well. Jan Hooks, who was the tour guide at the Alamo.
Okay.
Was the campaign
so good.
Marketing person when the guy gets his nose bit. Yeah. She's the female working with that guy.
Say it with me. Adobe.
Dude.
Adobe.
Dude, the fact we have all been there.
Yeah.
Right? She's taking so long for everything and all of the things that you can make with corn.
Yeah.
I just freaking I died because it was so funny. He wants to ask is can we look at the basement? Can we go to the basement? That's it.
He's Sonic the Hedgehog standing there tapping his foot waiting to go to the basement.
And he goes the entire tour without asking the question. It's so good. I was at Home Depot yesterday And like this Home Depot guy was like, "Hey, can I have you find anything?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm just getting some like machine screws, like 832s or 1024s for a ceiling fan." He's like, "Oh, well, come over here to the ceiling fan section." I'm like,
Oh no.
"I'm pretty sure they're with the machine screws." But I'm like, "All right, I'll humor this guy. Maybe they have them in 2 spots." And I was Pee Wee Herman,
Right.
because I'm like, I'm like, I'm like, and I'm being
You're
polite
respecting him, right?
because the guy, like, he works here and stuff, and I'm just gonna like humor him and
He's in the trade.
whatever, and maybe he knows where they are. Maybe they're over there and over there. I don't know. I'm like, I shouldn't have opened my mouth. I should have been like, I'm good.
Did he laugh in a Texas accent? And
He did
say,
not.
There's no screws in the ceiling fan section.
But he did try. Yeah, he did try to give me a recipe for cream corn.
Wow. There you go.
It's true.
And you can make you can make tortillas out of that somehow. You dry it out.
That's true. Make a lot of things
Shit,
with
make a lot of-
corn.
Make a hat, a brooch,
In
a
fact,
pterodactyl.
I'm gonna list them all right now.
Oh shit.
A hat, a brooch, a pterodactyl.
pterodactyl.
But dude, have we not
What
all
do you
been
make
there
of this?
where you're just like sitting and waiting and you're like,
Get to the point.
I just want what I want.
Wait, what's the quote? Is it Princess Bride where he's like, skip to the end?
Now, yeah, it is
I
Princess
think-
Bride
Yeah.
because it's
It's Chris Sarandon.
it's
I think
the
he says,
it's the
skip-
wedding.
Yeah, he's
right?
like, skip to the end. That's what Pee Wee wanted to say.
It's like man and wife say man,
Man
and wife.
True love.
Marriage
Together.
is what brings us together today.
Today. Oh, shit. Stand there?
Did Milton Berle ever do anything besides have a reputation?
Yeah, half of Hollywood.
Like, I mean, what was he actually in as like a star? Because I've seen him on guest star roles and cameos, but like, when did he ever like land as a front like leading man?
He was kind of like a Lenny Bruce or Bob Hope, where he
Who-
was constantly. I think he had a variety show.
Who are we talking about?
Milton Berle.
He's the one at
He
the
was the
end
one-
who Pee Wee rides his coattails to get into the movie studio.
He's like,
Oh, okay, yeah. That was one part where I thought I should know this person.
yeah,
and,
icon.
And I don't even know who that
And
is.
he's iconically known for having a humongous
Entourage.
member.
Oh,
So that's what Dan's talking about, his reputation. Like, he's just
gotcha.
known for that.
Okay.
But yeah, I think he's of that. He was part of the roasts, the Sinatra, Reagan, John Wayne roasts and stuff, the celebrity roasts.
Gotcha.
But I think he had a variety show, kind of like who's the guy who had Elvis and the Beatles?
Johnny Carson.
Ed Sullivan.
Ed Sullivan.
He was kind of like an Ed Sullivan,
Johnny
but
Carson.
like I think more local.
Next generation.
But he was nationally known.
Yeah,
So
no,
he's
he's
like
super famous, but I've never
he's
seen
like a
him
Ryan
like,
Seacrest.
Yeah,
he's like a Ryan Seacrest. Yeah, that's fair.
He's like a Joel McHale.
Right,
To bring it back to the community.
but bigger between the legs apparently. Yeah, that's one of the things that dated this movie. Was some of the cameos. Like, you're just like, who's this? Do I know him? Should I know him?
You know who looked
I
really
know.
familiar to me? The felon that was running from
Oh, the guy in the
police.
car?
Yeah.
Dude, when he dressed up like the wife. He's just like flirting with the cop. I'm like, oh my God, he looks like such a man. Like, it was just uncomfortable.
I like how they could see the police barricade like coming up, and like Pee Wee's like, "No, don't." He pulls out the gun, and Pee Wee's like, "No, don't." He's like, "I have a plan."
How'd they get
And then
dressed
like
that fast?
somehow they get dressed that fast as they roll up.
Editing.
It's so good.
so silly.
so good.
Well, and that look that he gets from the felon as they're driving away, as he like checks him out and kind of smiles.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, that was not something I
Yeah.
caught on to as a child.
No, yeah, exactly.
He did kind of look at him like that.
He did. He absolutely did.
Woof.
I mean,
And he said as much.
it's been a long
Didn't he?
time since he was in.
I mean,
It's like, I like you.
Pee-wee's
I
was
really like you,
Right.
and that's why you can't come with me, basically.
Right.
So he says it.
Did I dream a part in this movie where Francis admits that he stole the bike?
No.
No,
That did
it's
happen,
it's there.
I mean, he doesn't admit it to
To
Pee-wee,
Pee-wee.
but there's a
He-
scene where he says get rid of it, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. I must have either blinked, left the room for a minute because I missed that part, and I remember that.
Yeah, because it's when Pee-wee goes on the radio station
Okay.
with the reward and all that and blah, blah, blah. And
It's before he sees the...
Francis says he's incessant, I don't want this thing,
Right.
and get rid of it. And the dude...
Then it ends up on the trailer,
The
right?
slimy dude's like, well, that's going to cost you extra. And then that's it. So, yeah, he was definitely
Is that
behind
Mo from The Simpsons?
it. No, I was trying to do like Squiggy,
Okay.
but because that's who he reminded me of. But whatever.
Hmm.
I don't know.
And knitting, and knitting, and knitting.
It keeps going. And
I do that to my kids whenever like their story will not end. I just start going and knitting, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm like,
And every time he says "and," I don't know if you notice. Every time he says "and," he laughs.
"Yeah,
knitting, knitting,
yeah, yeah." It's good stuff.
So who
Did you
is this
notice all the-
movie for, though, guys? I mean, did we
It's
nail
for
down an
me.
answer?
I
'Cause
mean, I don't know.
I
'cause
really enjoyed it. I don't know if I'll watch it again for another 5 years, but like it was a
was
fun
for-
experience from front to back.
It was for 10-year-old Travis,
yeah.
and it was for 47-year-old Travis. Definitely.
Yeah, my kids
Yeah.
made it
I
through
mean-
it. I mean, they all thought it was too weird, but they all were entertained enough to stick with it. So
It's weird because they don't know who he is.
yeah,
It's kind of like it's the shell shock of seeing somebody who created this character and fleshed it out for so long that it becomes part of pop culture. And then you introduce someone to that character without all the background or reference. It's odd. It's like, this guy's creepy.
But it is also like a car wreck in the sense that you can't stop looking at
Right.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect anybody to not know who Pee-wee is and then watch that movie and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't. I can't imagine unless they have something to reference.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I have to reference really is I think one of the uncles in Full House used to do Pee Wee Herman impressions on the Full House
David
show all the
Coulier.
time.
Yeah.
So that is how I know Pee Wee Herman.
Right.
Through Full House.
And me always going, knitting.
Yeah, that's it.
Right. Yeah, no, he used to do that all the time on the show.
So, I mean, and even though like I never watched any, of Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Right.
Or this movie. Actually, I think I might have seen like parts of this movie on TV like a long, long time ago. But
yeah.
I know enough about Pee Wee. Like I know who Pee Wee Herman is.
Right.
So
Yeah, he's definitely made it into the mainstream of pop culture. Back then and now. Enough to where if he put a movie out right now, it would make millions. Like people would go say it.
well, yeah, because people who know who Pee Wee Herman is are still alive and
Well, that
in their
and
40s.
I think the parody of the kids show is timeless.
You're probably right.
Like you have,
In 20 years, they can do a Blue's Clues one.
well, there's that. There's what's the one where the five guys dressed in different colors? Not the Power.
Oh, the
Rangers.
Wiggles.
Wiggles. Like
They're terrible.
just like all those shows have created generations of people that would watch Pee-wee and get the joke.
Yeah.
So, I would like to see him make something, but I don't know if he's as funny as he used to be.
he made a holiday special for Netflix in like 2015 or 16,
Okay.
and I never heard anything about it again. So that might be something to check out for the Travis crowd to see if he can
Right.
still make you feel the feels like he
Right.
used to.
Right.
He also had a run-in with the law since then.
Yes,
Well.
that was a while ago, dude. That was like mid 90s, I think.
Was it?
Yeah. It destroyed that character. Like it was done. It's the same shit with Michael Jackson. Like it was Like, you couldn't be more popular than Pee Wee Herman, Michael Jackson. Just that iconic level. Everybody, like, you
And then
probably go to Africa and they know who Pee Wee Herman is.
Yeah.
And then it was just gone.
And then it was just like, yep, not doing this anymore.
Yep. Gone.
It's really
But he did it
interesting,
right.
though. I mean, for those two to be such big icons that they got dolls made, like children's
Yeah.
toys. What were parents in the 80s thinking? Like looking
Well,
back,
same-
like those
Same
were pretty
thing as
questionable.
Freddy Krueger, Ben Cooper costumes. Like,
Yeah.
you put your 6-year-old in a Freddy Krueger costume, dude's a child molesting murderer, child killer, alleged child molesting.
Depending on the movie you
But
watch,
definitely, definitely a child killer. And these kids are dressing up. I mean, there were Nightmare on Elm Street toys everywhere in the 80s. So, yeah, I just think it was different. That's why Gen X doesn't put up with bullshit sometimes. Because they just don't. We didn't grow up with bullshit, so we're just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And that makes us insensitive and pricky. But
Yeah.
it's just the time. You grew up, parents smoking in the car that you're
Yeah.
sitting in, and,
I'm a millennial, so I'm much, much more sophisticated. So.
You weren't when you were putting that ceiling fan up. You were Gen X putting that up.
Did you like that? Dude, this ceiling
Motherfucker.
ceiling fan got me.
Did you guys catch the Batmobile in this movie?
No.
On the Warner lot when he's there before the Twisted Sister video and all that, which that's
Right.
hilarious and
Yeah.
awesome.
That's great.
Yeah.
Camera's pulling back and the Batmobile comes from left and turns left, so it's like going with the camera. And it's the old 60s Batmobile,
66?
because it'd have to
Nice.
be, because you realize that this movie comes out before the Burton
89.
Batmobile.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's the Batmobile. Whoa.
I've seen this movie probably 20 times and I never noticed that.
It's in there.
I'll have to check it out.
No.
It's in there.
Pee-wee.
Huh. Wonder who was driving it.
I don't know. It wasn't. I didn't even see the driver, so you'd have to go back and see if maybe you can isolate it. My kids pointed out too that they love the bat pole in his
Yes.
house. And I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
man, because 60s Batman hide a camp, and this modern camp, I guess, is this camp? I don't know what camp is.
Oh, big shout out to his dog, Speck. Not Spike. Speck.
Spec.
Big fan.
Although the Trivial Pursuit
Yes.
card might say otherwise.
Yeah, his dog Stripe.
Good
Damn it.
callback. Wow. Gremlins callback.
Yeah.
Nice. Everybody's like, what?
Listen to Gremlins, you'll get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Spec, big shout out to Spec, and he was with the pink poodle at the end.
At least someone
Good
found
for him.
love, you know?
Yeah, good for him. Who was the child actor in on the set where they were with the nuns on the with the bike?
Oh.
Who was the
That-
child
that
actor?
is
Because I
what-
recognize him.
I don't know his real life name, but that's the guy. That's the kid who plays Wayne
On Wonder Years, right?
Wonder Years.
Yeah.
That was.
Yeah.
That's my brother.
Yeah. He's like yeah.
He plays a dick in every single thing he's in.
I was gonna say the bully
Yeah.
or the what's his name from Back to the Future.
He's the Biff.
The Biff.
Yeah, he always plays Biff.
Yeah. Because I recognize him. I'm like, I
Mhm.
don't know where I know this kid from.
Yeah,
but-
Wonder Years.
And was the director of that anybody important? Because
Yes.
I thought I recognized them, but and I even like tried to look at the credits, but it wasn't in there.
I'm gonna have to look it up, but I do remember it being somebody. It wasn't Coppola or someone like that big, but should have been Spielberg. That would have been good.
I thought it looked like Jeff Goldblum.
No, it's a guy named
I don't know.
Zach Hoffman. I don't see
Okay.
anything on here that I'm too familiar with besides
Okay.
Pee-wee. He did a lot of G.I. Joe stuff as an actor.
Like the cartoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
So
well.
Zartan
Zartan.
from
Zartan.
G.I. Joe, that's that guy.
Yeah. Okay.
There's an entire episode of Community that's all in G.I. Joe animation.
Really?
It's fantastic.
I'd have to watch
Dude,
that.
you really have to watch the entire thing.
I should probably watch this show.
You probably should.
It comes highly recommended.
Yep.
But if they're doing cartoon parodies from the 80s, I'm all
They
for it
are, but you also have to watch all of the episodes leading up to it
to
because
understand it.
all of the characters that are being animated are G.I. Joe versions of the actual.
Right. And they do like the lesson at the end.
Yes,
Nice.
absolutely, of course.
'Cause learning is half the battle.
So, I think knowing is half the battle.
What did I say? Learning? I
Learning,
suck.
yeah. Learning
Kind
is
of
how
a child
you
of the
know.
80s.
Listen,
Knowing is half the battle. Go Joe.
anyway,
Don't start your car in the morning because there could be a cat sleeping in your engine. And knowing is half the battle. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, I never thought to not do that, but okay. Why are you telling me this? Is that a big deal? Cats sleeping in engines?
I had a cat do
That's-
that once in my dad's engine. It was our cat. That sucked. But he was okay. He got cut real bad. But I mean, what a weird thing. Dad's just trying to go to the hardware store. Turns the engine. Rawr. It's like, what the hell?
Wow. That delivery made me snort.
I had a squirrel once. I was leaving a job site, and like I drove all the way home, and I'm like, oh my, like I even stopped like halfway home, and I like looked underneath my car to see like if something was like there was like this weird noise that was happening. I'm like, I'm gonna have to take this to the
He's like-
mechanic, whatever. And I get home, and like I open the hood, and I'm like looking for this noise, and like the engine's running, and I can hear the noise, and like finally I find it. It's a friggin' squirrel.
In
Was
your
with
engine.
me the entire drive home.
What was he running from? That's the question.
I don't know. That's a good question.
He was looking for the Griswolds.
Yeah.
But I
it's-
was like trying to like it was a terrible thing. I'm like you can't stay in there. I'm like trying to like poke at him with like
at least
a
you know he'll
broomstick.
find his way home. 'Cause
That's
they
true.
always do.
I was like poking at him with a broomstick and like trying to like get him out of there, and he wouldn't leave, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
How far did you take him from his home?
A couple miles. It was pretty close. 5 miles maybe.
You see the squirrel sitting at a bus station.
Yeah.
A little bag.
He's got a big rubber thumb extension. Bag over his shoulder.
Oh man. Yeah, that hitchhiking stuff. We needed a little bit of 6-minute abs somewhere. It would've been good.
I liked when he was he was so tired of hitchhiking, even though he hadn't been picked up at all, that he was like laying halfway in the street.
Yeah.
That was pretty comical.
The only thing that would have made that funnier is if you noticed that he was only sitting there for 5. Figure out a way to show us that he had only been there for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
He was not having it. But he had to get to the Alamo.
The stars at night are big and bright. I'd like to apologize to everyone around our
Who just
listeners
clapped.
who just yelled a certain thing about Texas.
It's funny.
Good stuff.
My apologies if that counts as messing with Texas.
Such a basic movie.
Yeah. I mean, the tagline, you will believe a man can ride a bike.
I meant to do that.
Well, was this a success, George? I know it was weird as hell. Do you feel like you watched a successful movie?
Oh, definitely. And even though I was questioning like who this movie was made for, I mean, here we are, the three of us, all watched this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it's for at least all three of us.
Yeah.
So, shoot.
And you are officially a Burton fan.
I am
Tim
a
Burton
Burton
fan.
I am a Burton fan.
There's a lot of them out there.
I am. I like his style.
Yeah.
He's got a dark style. I like it.
He did make a few duds, but not many.
I mean, we all
Is that like
make a dud
a
now
ground?
and then.
Is that like a groundbreaking observation?
No.
He's got a dark style. No.
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 That's what the fuck he's known
No.
for.
No, he's definitely like I remember going to art school and just being in a class of like 30 people, 40 people, and you could just tell the people that had their style. It was there. They could draw a clown, they could draw a swamp creature, they could draw a puppy, and they just had their style of how they sketch or how they,
Yeah.
lay things out.
And Burton is
He's
definitely
one
like
of those
that.
guys. Yep. Spielberg's that way too, but he's more subtle. Obviously, he doesn't have the visual artsy feel that Burton has.
Yeah.
But they definitely have their little trademarks. But Burton, you could see a Burton movie and just know. Like,
Yeah.
you hear the first 3 chords of the score, or one scene, you're like, oh, this is a Tim Burton movie easily. That's hard to do.
Yeah, like I feel like Spielberg is kind of like his reputation is just he is a movie maker.
Right.
Like when he makes a movie, he does it right. But not necessarily in a certain style.
No.
You know what I mean?
He has little tricks of the trade that he does in every movie to where it's a Spielberg movie. But he does not have, like you're saying, that trademark.
With Burton, it's kind of like you can take any franchise and give it to Burton, and you'll be like, oh, I'd love to see Burton's version of this. It's going to be Burton's version of this.
What was the movie we just watched I think it was Gremlins.
Like they should give him a Halloween. Like when they give Halloween to each director to do in their style.
Oh
like
my
Burton
God,
would be a fantastic choice.
Yeah. And that's why I was mad that he didn't get to make the third Batman, because he wanted to do the Scarecrow, and I would really want to see his version of the Scarecrow.
I mean, there's still time, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Well, not with James Gunn in the house.
Let's write a letter or something.
Get rid of everybody.
We'll get a petition signed or something.
Yeah. Because I'll still take who they were going to cast as a Scarecrow. I still want to see him play it. Either Jeff Goldblum or whatever. I'm down.
Oh man, old Jeff Goldblum as a Scarecrow against old Michael Keaton as Batman. Oh.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll take that every day.
So where do we go next?
I don't know.
This is our last episode of 2022. Next week will be 2023. So we might as well count it as the beginning of season 4. One chapter ends, another begins, that kind of thing. It's never stopped us from connecting a few lines here and there before, though.
I think there's nowhere else to go from this movie than Beetlejuice.
I agree.
I was going to say more Burton.
I mean,
just give me more Burton.
Watch the progression of this man, because Beetlejuice, I think, is the pinnacle.
Yeah?
Of him. Like, what he can do. I don't think it ever got any better than Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Okay. Top Gear, hitting on all cylinders, Burton.
Yes. Full control, creatively.
And a great
cast.
A great character for Burton to work with.
And we're not going to say who's in it.
Yeah, what do you know about Beetlejuice, though, George?
Yeah,
what do you know anything up front?
I mean, Beetlejuice had a cartoon in the late 90s, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
Like there was a...
Yes.
So I'm like, I don't know how familiar I is. It's been a long time. But... I
mean, he made his way into pop culture, so
yeah,
you have to know something.
He's kind of like... let's say he's like not alive, kind of like... He's kind of like a zombie, but not really like in a dumb zombie way. He's like... You know what I mean? Like Beetlejuice is dead, but he's like not. Maybe he's like a spirit.
He's
or
the
like
undead?
Kind of.
Okay.
And I know that he's I guess he likes to make mischief.
Okay.
Does that?
Well, I'm not going to answer you.
Oh, okay.
I just want to hear.
Well, anyway, yeah, he's I think he's kind of fun.
Okay.
And I think he likes to make issues for people, and in a fun shenanigan kind of way, and I think it's gonna be...
What would be your plot guess? Like, what do you think?
Oh God,
what do you think it's about?
I have no idea.
Okay, good.
I'm not even gonna try.
Any idea who's in it?
No.
Okay.
This movie is a great ender of the season, because there's a lot of people in this movie that have been on our show.
It's gonna be like a Scream.
Yeah.
For us.
Accidental Scream.
Yeah.
Scream was on purpose. But
all right.
Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm like, oh my God, yeah.
I'm down.
Nice.
It's going to be a fun episode.
And then you can take it back to your side chick.
Yeah, and I can actually talk about it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Happy New Year to you guys. Happy New Year to your side chick. And Happy New Year to all our listeners.
Happy New Year!
And thank you for joining us on the Remedial Film Class podcast. We'll be back next week with Beetlejuice. In the meantime, you can hit us up at Remedial Film Pod at all the socials and even at Gmail. Why not? Old-fashioned email, you to me back to you. We'll see you back here next week.